obviously right now, as you well know here in Austin, the Black Lives Matter riots have evolved. It's been really tough on this town. I didn't know until I came here. I very much think that Black Lives Matter is a domestic terror organization. If you disagree with me, you're more than welcome to change my mind or if you have any questions.
Well, I know I can't change your mind, but actually, because...
You don't know that.
If you're saying it's a domestic terrorist organization?
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter organization.
Oh, organization.
Which is in charge of, obviously, inspiring, spurring these protests.
The ones that teamed up with FUBU and stuff like that for...
I don't know which companies they've teamed up with, but yeah, I take it specifically from their website, their charter, what they demand, what it is they're looking for, and of course, where the funding is coming from.
Can you explain to me why they are... Okay, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So here, let me... So I don't know where you line up on... I think it's important to delineate here between saying Black Lives Matter, which I think everyone is on board with.
That's what I'm about, is saying Black Lives Matter.
Okay, saying Black Lives Matter. Just like saying don't kick puppies, right? It's like everyone says, okay, that's great. But then we do have to get down to...
But what about dogs?
Well, I don't want to kick dogs either. Don't kick dogs. Don't kick cats. I don't kick cats. You see the point?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really get what you're saying. But my point is with the Black Lives Matter organization, right? There is an organization, there is a charter, there are official demands that have been listed, and they're going about that with these protests that evolve into riots that have caused $600 million in property damage. Anywhere from 12 to 20 plus people who've been killed at these riots, 900 officer casualties, 14,000 arrests. And these are the demands from the Black Lives Matter organization that, I just, not only do I not agree with, I think are actually harmful to the black community, and using intimidation and the riots as a matter of achieving them makes them, in my book, a domestic terror organization.
All right, so let's talk, so a domestic terror organization. So I just want to make sure that there's not different meanings for terrorism or anything like that. But you say domestic, are you saying their alignment with ISIS and...
No.
KKK?
No, domestic means within the United States.
Okay, so about the KKK, they're aligned with the KKK?
No, they're not aligned with the KKK, but the KKK could be a domestic terror organization. Domestic just means here in American soil.
Okay, so do you agree that the KKK is a domestic?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. Now, why do you think that the KKK is a domestic terrorist organization?
Well, obviously they're not nearly as big in scope right now as Antifa or Black Lives Matter, but anytime...
Antifa's a group?
Yeah.
I don't think they are.
Well, actually, I have a list right here of demands from Antifa, joint actions with Black Lives Matter, for example, at Seattle and Shaw.
Antifa's a thought, because if that's the case, then I'm anti-fascist.
Well, hold on a second, but Black Lives Matter is a thought. But there's an organization, Black Lives Matter, that has an organization. No, Black Lives Matter is a phrase, but there's also an organization, right? Same thing with Antifa. You do have different cells, and they do have centralized demands with which they unify with Black Lives Matter to meet. So, let me say, yeah, KKK, why would they be a terrorist organization? Why would ISIS? Why would any of these types of people? So that would be, terrorism is using intimidation, force, or violence in order to achieve an ideological, political end, right? And that's what we see with Black Lives Matter, just like the KKK. So, no, I appreciate your comparison.
No, it's not a comparison. I'm trying to understand. So before, because honestly, I'm changing up the segment right now. So what I'm doing right now is
you can talk with me.
Instead of me changing his mind, I want him to change my mind. Because think about it, the Black Lives Matter organization is a terrorist domestic organization group. That is far-fetched. So to be part of the mass and say that it's not, I want the person that has a far-fetched thought to convince me.
Okay.
There's no convincing on my part. So
well, can I pause you there? Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I think the idea of complete and total police abolition and disrupting the Western nuclear family is a radical thought. I think that's more far-fetched than my response to it. I think it's more far-fetched than my response saying, no, don't completely abolish the police to Black Lives Matter.
Why not?
I think it's more far-fetched than me saying, no, we shouldn't completely eliminate the nuclear American family.
Do you believe in defunding APD? I'm sorry, APD, also police, but defunding police?
Well, the issue is what Black Lives Matter demands. So I want to start with that. I think that is very far-fetched. And by the way, the majority of Americans, including black Americans, do too. So it's not like I'm some minority. The idea of completely abolishing the police is a radical idea.
Yeah,
I am
saying, it's very radical.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be, so here's the thing.
So do you support that?
Oh yeah, of course I do.
Completely abolishing the police?
Yeah, of course, why not?
Abolishing prisons?
I'm not too sure on that. I'm not going to answer your question on that one. But
that's their demand.
I never said I was with Black Lives Matter.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you said it was a far-fetched position for me to say it's a terror organization.
Yeah.
This charter to me, and the tax, reads as a far-fetched, to use your term, terror organization.
So
it does matter, because I'm talking about
abolishing the police.
Okay. Complete abolition.
Complete abolition. How did policing start in the South? Do you know?
We're going to go back to the slavery idea from runaway slaves.
Yeah.
But we're talking about complete abolition of the police.
But then, wouldn't you think that was a radical idea back in the day to capture slaves, to do stuff like that? Don't you think that was kind of radical?
I think that slavery was a radical idea. That was a horrible idea, and I'm really grateful that we abolished it. I'm really grateful that we don't have slavery, we don't have Jim Crow laws, that we had the Voting Civil Rights Act. What I'm talking about right now is complete abolition of the police.
So what I'm saying is, though, and this is why I'm bringing it up, the reason why we have these extremes, let's be honest.
Police are extreme? That's an extreme idea.
Extreme ideologies right here.
Okay.
The reason why we have extremes, because let's be honest, as a black person, I'm not going to see the abolition of police in my lifetime. Let's just be honest.
Well, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Hold on. So when we try to ask for voting rights like back in the day, which should have been given when the 13th Amendment got passed.
Absolutely.
But then, it's kind of funny because Malcolm X said something. He goes, if we were equal, there wouldn't be any more additional laws to be passed. Right. There wouldn't be no civil rights. So they're asking simple things to be equal, to get rid of segregation, right?
Well, no, Black Lives Matter wants more segregation, but continue.
I'm talking back in the day. I'm tying up with this, right? So to ask all that stuff, like for the fact that we had to ask after the 13th Amendment, after we said we're equal, we had to go and ask. That makes you think. Damn, are we really fucking equal? I was speaking to Savannah, and she's saying that we are equal. I said, I'm thinking, are you duped or are you duping me? Because how can we be equal if we needed extra, if we needed a civil rights movement? So
no, hold on a second.
But I want to.
Hold on, because you're jumping around. You're not answering my question. No, but I will address that one. In 2020, yeah, I would maintain whoever you were talking with. Savannah, you said?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, of course that we have equal rights in 2020, and I don't see how abolishing the police would in any way make Black Americans more equal to white Americans, considering it would harm them most.
So I'm gonna tell you a secret that's in the Black community, right?
Okay, tell me, King.
Abolition of police ain't gonna happen.
It's still on the list of demands.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, I have a problem with it.
You know what I'm saying? And you wanna know why? Because doesn't go our way.
Really?
We have to say completely abolish the police in order to get them defunded so we make our community safer. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to say. We have to say completely abolish the police.
So when you said you supported completely abolish the police, that's just a negotiating tactic?
No, I really do believe wholeheartedly that we should abolish the police.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Let's be real. There's just so much power.
Let me ask you this, since we're completely off the idea of it being a terrorist organization and $500 million in property damage, why do you believe in abolishing the police? How would that help Black Americans?
Oh, there's a lot of things. You can start investing in different organizations in mental health, establish another department. There's a lot of things, to be honest with you. I don't have to answer that, because let me tell you why.
Well, you do if you're sending out a far-fetched idea, to use your theory.
It's a radical idea, right?
Yeah.
It's a radical
far-fetched idea.
Just
abolishing
like
the police. How would you replace it?
No, just how slavery is a radical idea, right? Here's what I'm saying. As me, as a American, I'm saying why not? It. Let's just abolish the police. Let's just see what happens. If it crashes and burns, okay, then it crashes and burns.
But I thought Black Lives Matter.
If it crashes and burns.
But many Black people will be killed. Innocent Black people.
Do you really think so?
Yeah, far more Black people will be killed if you abolish the police.
But we're not being killed right now by the police.
What's the number one cause of death for young Black Americans?
Can you tell me that? I'm not too sure. Is it diabetes?
No.
What is it?
It's homicide. It's not even close.
Yeah. Homicide?
Yeah, homicide.
Black on black crime?
Black on black crime. Damn. It's not even close. If we're talking about, and by the way, if we're talking about Black Lives Matter, and that is the number one cause of death with young Black Americans, and the vast majority of Black Americans don't want to abolish the police. You were talking about the vast majority of Americans, Black Americans, don't want to abolish the police.
Where are you getting that from? InfoWars? Where are you getting that from?
No, I'm not getting it from InfoWars, but we can bring the statistics out here.
I know.
Do you doubt the idea that homicide is the number one cause of death for young Black Americans?
I'm not doubting anything. No, not that.
Okay. Let's just if you don't agree with what I say, then maybe just tell me why, because that way we can both rationalize our position rather than just saying, well, I don't trust you. It's the number one cause of death, and if you take away the police, right, and you abolish prisons, which is on this list of demands as well, and if you deconstruct the idea of the nuclear family, which is again a list, that's the most difficult, that's the worst to me when you look at Black Lives Matter and their demands, you will harm Black Americans the most. because they're not being off in record numbers by cops. As a matter of fact, black Americans are not killed more than white Americans by cops. They're killed less. But they are killed by other fellow black Americans in record numbers. You're talking about 37 times the national homicide rate from a Barack Obama Bureau of Justice study. You're talking about 10 times the rate of committing violent crime in other Americans right now. And I don't think that's because, or would be improved by defunding or abolishing the police.
Okay.
So how would it help young black Americans?
I was waiting for you to finish because everything you're saying I don't agree with. So
what's the number one killer of young black Americans?
No, it could be homicide. That's fine.
So you don't disagree with everything?
Here's what I'm saying. No, everything you said after that and trying to justify that, I don't. So let's say this.
Okay, so how about you rationalize your position? How would abolishing the police help with the number one cause of death with young black Americans being homicide?
Yes. Do you believe that the police brutalize and kill black people disproportionately compared to white people?
Statistically, that's not a reality, no.
Disproportionately?
Nope.
No? Do you have those statistics? Can we see those?
I do.
I feel like Trump when he had that interview with that dude on Fox. He said, all right, bring the statistics. He's like, bring the stats.
Yeah. So how many unarmed black men were killed by police last year?
I don't know.
9. How many white guys?
I don't know.
19. What percentage of America do black people make up?
Last time I checked, it was like 13%.
About 13%, 12, 13%. What percentage of homicides?
No, I'm not talking about homicides.
53. What percentage of robberies?
I'm not talking about
60.
homicides. Hold on. I'm not talking. Let's just talk about the police.
No, but this is I'm getting to the police. What percentage of people were black who were killed by police?
I want to say this real quickly.
25%.
Okay, so what you're saying is if we get rid of the police, black people will get harmed in that at the end.
Yes.
But we're already
particularly black women and children.
Okay, but we're already getting murdered by each other. So what are the police doing to solve that?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to get at. So let's get back. Let's get back to
Well,
this.
they do put them in jail. They do arrest people, and if you remove those consequences, you think there would be less crime in the United States?
No, there's no.
From young black males, you think the homicide rate would go down?
What you're bringing up to me right now is another conversation that I need to have in the black community. That hey, there's some homicide going on that we need to fix because we have some internal problems that were brought onto us because of this country.
How do we fix it?
So
let's be productive. How do we fix the homicide?
I want to talk about what I want to talk about. You brought these out, and I want to see these.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that policing, have they ever prevented a murder, a black on black crime murder, or a black on black murder?
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Or are you just saying we can arrest them?
Yeah, I wouldn't have the stats on exactly how many black murders have been stopped by police officers, but you could certainly cross-reference the amount of calls to the police for, let's say, an armed robbery or a violent assault that was stopped by police officers. I would imagine it's in the thousands.
Okay.
Was that reasonable? I don't know the stats, but would that be reasonable?
No, I was genuinely honest. So.
No, but I'm saying, is that a reasonable answer? Like, I don't have the exact number, but you would probably cross-reference how many 911 calls of a violent crime in action and how many times the police have stopped or saved people.
Sure, that's
so I don't have the number, but it would be significant.
Sure. So
just like with white people.
Do you agree? So okay. So I want to talk about police real quick. Then I want to get back to the terrorists because I know that's what you're here for.
Sure. No.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I do apologize. But,
no. I appreciate you sitting down and being respectful.
Do you believe?
I like your tattoo too.
Oh yeah, the Kanye tattoo.
Do you regret that now with him being a little?
Hell no.
Okay, good.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
You don't have to agree with someone 100% to like their. Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. So I forgot my question. Let me get it. It was about, do you believe that the police should have more accountability?
Yes. Yeah, I have a big problem, so I've talked about this with police unions, just like I have a problem with teachers' unions. I do believe that there does need to be some police reform, and I do believe that it needs to be easier to expel bad police officers.
How do we do that?
I think there are a couple of things that we can do that should be some common ground approaches, and that's why I have such a problem with the Black Lives Matter organization. Because the common ground approaches that we could start with, for example, dissolving police unions, or at least lessening their control to a degree, or at least even changing the card check rules that we have. I think that we could have more accountability. I don't think that we should do away entirely with the immunity of police officers, but I do think that we need higher accountability and an ability to get rid of police officers, to have a centralized database so that police officers who've committed infractions can't just move from county to county. These are things that we can start with. Unfortunately, these are the kinds of suggestions that have been shouted down by Black Lives Matter's founders and activists as racist.
So here's the thing. This is just.
But are those reasonable? I mean, I'm not saying no changes.
Yeah, no, sure, but I have a question. It's just a yes or no. Do you believe you have privilege?
Well, I have a mom and a dad, and I was raised in a family who loved me. I think it's a huge privilege.
White privilege.
Why do you assume that that's white privilege, having a mom and a dad?
No, I'm asking. I said, do you believe you have white privilege?
I don't know what that means.
Okay. So here's what you can do. Instead of, I think, to be honest with you, debating with people about changing your mind.
Don't walk out on this, man, because this is not going to be a good way to go. When an argument, you go to the white privilege card.
Hold on.
It's not a good look.
I'm about to explain. No, I don't care about it. Here's the thing. Let me tell you something real quick. Instead of doing that, talk to your people about what you just told me. Mm-hmm. And continue that message. Continue, hey, I don't care. I'm like, you can say, hey, look, Black Lives Matter, I don't agree with y'all, but here's the thing, we can have more accountability. Everything you told me is gold, and I believe we hit all angles of oppressing black people. If you hit the angle, you come on my side and say, yeah, they do need more accountability. We can start getting things down, but if we see nobody not doing anything, we have to say abolish the police in order for you to speak up and say something like that.
I think it's
that radical, like, no, abolish the police, no, but here it is, because let's be honest.
Well, no, listen, that may be the way that you feel, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate it as a negotiating tactic or whatever you believe. But when you have the mayor of Minneapolis saying, I support defunding the police, and lays out a list, and they go, no, complete abolition of the police, shout him down and shame him out.
Yeah.
That's not helpful. That's not productive. Now, I do have these conversations with my people. I do have a conversation with millions of people every month where I've talked about these ideas, and I'm having a conversation with you right now. Unfortunately, I see Black Lives Matter and black leadership not having conversations about what would truly help the lives of people in the black community.
No, there is.
And as a matter of fact, the idea of disrupting and deconstructing the Western nuclear family would do irreparable harm to the black community. This is the first time, it's unprecedented, where you have black people burning down and looting black businesses and shooting black police officers. And that's, again, what tells me it's disingenuous, and it's not about racial equality. It's about using an excuse to commit crime, and I won't show up for a movement that doesn't outright condemn it, especially when it's not addressing the real problem. I think all Black Lives matter, and I think we need to address the number one cause of death in the black community, and it's now police officers. So, police accountability? Sure. Yeah, I know, this guy's yelling. I think he's just a crazy person. Police accountability? Sure. But the root cause of this problem is we need more families, and Black Lives Matter seeks to completely deconstruct and disrupt it. I think this is more harmful. If you add up the charter, and we'll have this here, you can take this with you.
I want to take this with me.
Yeah, but if you have it, let me just finish it this way, and then I'll let you have, we'll finish this out. You can say one more thing.
All right, cool.
If you abolish the police, completely abolish the police, you completely abolish prisons, and you seek to disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure, you will irreparably harm the black community, far more than any police officer ever could.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.